All right, the Seattle Seahawks are coming off a big victory. They're coming off a big victory over the Atlanta Falcons, 34-14, and we are absolutely here to talk about it. And I'm telling you in the title that they get a double dose of good news. And there are two really big things in this one. The first one is that they've put the NFL on notice that they are a real team. They just had a stretch where they played like 3 games in 11 days. That turned into an 0-3 stretch. Now they get some rest. They played Thursday against the 49ers. We talked about it on this channel that was going to be a very difficult game for them to win. Then they get that long break, almost like the half bye. Every time you play on Thursday, it's tough because you have to play 5 days after the Sunday game, but then you get even more days off afterwards. So that's really, really good news to hear for the Seattle Seahawks. So they had those 3 losses, but when they're rested, they come out and they go on the road and beat a red-hot Falcons team, a Falcons team that was just starting to find their stride with Kirk Cousins, an offense that was starting to click, and they took them out. And the second good news that we're going to talk about in this article is DK Metcalf injury updates. Look, the game just finished like 3 hours ago, but we've heard from the head coach, so we'll let you know what was said there. But first, what I want to do is I absolutely want to take a look and kind of give you some takeaways from this game. But before we get into it, I want to show you some standings. All right, now this isn't updated. The 49ers are about to lose in like 1 minute. All right, they're down 28-12. 2 minutes to go. They're about to lose, so you are 4-3. You sit atop alone at the division. The 49ers will fall to 3-4. They're starting, and they have been very, very banged up. So you are now the top team there. Now, I know what you're thinking. Like, all right, are the Seahawks for real? Do they have what it takes? You are starting to see what a Mike McDonald offense or defense can look like. The turnovers that they can force, the ways in which you can confuse a defense. When I was looking at what the Falcons were able to do to you, everything was in the run game or honestly the short passing game. There was very few passes that were completed down the field. And I think that needs to absolutely be known. Now, the rushing attack was still there. And there are some struggles there, and that continues to be a weakness of this team. I don't anticipate that continuing. You have plenty of talent. It's just one of those things. You're keeping everything in front of you right now. You're forcing some turnovers on the defense, but you are giving up some rushing yards. Here's the good news on this one. You weren't like a sieve on the defense either. Yes, you gave up 5 yards per carry, just under 5 yards per carry in the run game. Not great. It's trending in the right direction. Kenneth Walker again showed that he is a top 3 running back in this league. So the running game went well on your side, and the offense was efficient. That is the big, big thing. All right, so let's talk about some of the takeaways that I have from the game. All right, I think the first takeaway that I have is there's always talk about DK Metcalf. What should we do with DK Metcalf? All right, can we just stop with that? Can we just stop talking about it? Because he is really, really good, and I don't think you get anything back that's even close to what he offers you. He is a legitimate number 1 receiver in the NFL. That's who he is. And not only that, but in this new system, he is playing even better, at least in my belief. All right, today, in the first half, before he got hurt, basically, he had 4 catches on 7 targets for 99 yards and a touchdown. He did things and makes plays that other people simply can't. All right, when I talked to you about his numbers, all right, week 2 at New England, he had 129 yards receiving and a touchdown. Week 3 at home against Miami, 104 yards and a touchdown on 4 catches. His ability to do major damage on a limited number of catches. And then in week 4 at Detroit, now we don't make any bones about it. We're Lions fans on this channel, but we love the NFL. He was a nightmare for us. Like, I need you to understand, when you are the opposing team and DK Metcalf's out there and you see Carlton Davis, we saw Carlton Davis attempting to guard him. It's like, oh my goodness, This dude is a man. He's an absolute beast. He's a tight end who runs and plays like a wide receiver, and then after he catches it, he's like a running back. His numbers, his measurables just don't exist anywhere else. And so, except for Calvin Johnson, we've seen it. All right, we've seen it in Detroit. We know what this is. And this is one of those things that's going to come with it. But he ate us up. 7 catches, 104 yards. Like, he was phenomenal against us. And I think when we look at the injury, everything we're hearing, Mike McDonald went out and said, banged his knee a little bit. They said they're optimistic. It doesn't look too bad. All right, when I'm looking at this, Jeff Mueller, you know how it is on Twitter. They have people that are going to sit here and they're going to talk about it. All right, so here's what he has to say. You can see it right here. All right, right leg whips quickly after he lands awkwardly, likely applying strain to his MCL. Special test seen provoking pain. His response toward AT appears to be testing valgus. All right, it's a common MCL assessment. Likely to get an MRI. All right, when you say that, but then you see him running around on the sideline, all right, trying to get back, and then he gets carted off, you get terrified when he's carted off. But it looks like he's going to miss some time if it's an MCL strain, but it doesn't look like he tore the MCL. So that's the important thing. All right, turnovers came in bunches. That's another takeaway. They found ways to get a ton of turnovers. All right, going into this game, I think they only had like 4 all year, and then they had, 3 in the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken. That is big time. All right, they're up. One of them is a sack, fumble, scoop and score. And Chris, who you've heard do videos on here as well, loves talking about the scoop and score. He says if you get a scoop and score, you win the game 99% of the time. And that's exactly what happened. And as much as we talk about the difficulty in stopping the run for the Seahawks, this is a pass game that's been really, really good for the Falcons as of late, and they shut it down. And that's because their pass rush is absolutely suffocating. And it is. It is suffocating. And the reason it's suffocating is because you have Mafe, you have Williams, all right? You have Hall. You have all these players, all right, not to mention some rookies that are phenomenal. And when you have corners that are able to lock down the wide receivers, it makes the pass rush look even better. Absolutely phenomenal, all right? Yes, the run game still has some work to do. I understand that. But the biggest takeaway for me in this one is that the Seattle Seahawks showed what they are capable of doing. They showed how good of a football team they can be. They're number one. How often are you 7 games into a regular season in the NFL? In those 7 games, you have had a 3-game losing streak, and you are still in first place in your division. All right? But the thing about the Seahawks is that they don't beat other teams as often that are playoff caliber teams. Not only did they beat the Falcons, who are a playoff caliber team, they went into Atlanta, they beat them down. All right? They beat them down. And so now they just continue to do well. And you know what? They kind of needed to. Because when you look at their upcoming schedule, they're home against the Bills, who are looking much better offensively now that they have a legitimate number 1 wide receiver in Amari Cooper. Then it's 3 straight games against the NFC West. This next month, all right, by the end of November, we are going to know, are the Seattle Seahawks the favorite to win the NFC West or not? Because they will play the Rams, they will go to San Francisco, and then they will be back home against the Cardinals. And if they can find a way to win 2 out of 3 or all 3 of those games, then all of a sudden you're going to be saying, all right, we're at the top of the division, looking down in the driver's seat. All right, double dose of good news. DK Metcalf injury, not as serious as what usually getting carted off would appear to be. Not only that, but also, and I think this is important to note, they are now number 1 in the division, and they control their destiny from here. All right, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button below. See ya.